Well, folks, we're visiting today with Cameron Layne. Cameron's a musician. We're going to learn about his story from right here in Morgantown, West Virginia. Cameron, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Jim, for having me. Really excited.
Yeah, I look forward to learning more about your story, man.
Yeah, likewise. I'm happy you want me to share it. I'm really excited for this.
That's great.
Positively West Virginia is powered by Breezeline high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, and Storymaker. With the help of these sponsors, we are able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one featured in today's episode.
All right, Cameron, tell us a little bit about what you do. I mentioned you're a musician, but tell us about this journey you're on to be a musician.
Yeah, of course. So my journey started when I was about 9 years old. You know, I wasn't trusted alone in the house as a kid. And my mom would take my brother to drum lessons when he was about 12. So I would have to come along with him, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, I always just went over to the banjos and I strummed the strings. And one of these days I said, Mom, I really want to learn how to play the banjo. And she looked at me and I kid you not, she said, really? I don't think you'll stick with it. And that to me was like the ultimate motivator, you know?
Yeah.
And
thanks, Mom.
Yeah, thanks, Mom, right? No, she loves when I tell that story, man.
That's
It's from then on, I just started playing and I got with an instructor and he taught me a lot of really, really amazing stuff on the banjo.
Yeah.
And just fell in love with it, took off. About 13 years old, I started playing guitar and all throughout high school, I did trombone too, and I sang. So music has always been a very, very prominent part of my life.
Yeah,
And
Cameron.
actually,
Tell us a little bit about like where you grew up and everything.
Yeah, sure.
You're not from West Virginia initially.
I'm not from West Virginia. No, I'm from a little town east of Cleveland, Ohio, called Burton. Small
Burton,
village.
Ohio. Okay.
Yeah, Burton, Ohio. Small little village, about 1,200 people. And it was actually there where I really got my start, and I got pictures to prove it. So these are pictures of me when I was about 10 years old playing the banjo. This was my very first paid gig ever.
That's awesome.
And that was at the Geauga County Fairgrounds.
No kidding.
Yeah, that
Geauga
was
Lake.
Geauga Lake. Yeah, you've heard of it.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, man.
That's great.
Used to go there as a kid. It's gone now, but the fairgrounds are right there in Burton. So I had a really good mentor. His name was Will Duns. And he hooked me up with my very first paid gig. I played for 20 minutes and got paid $75.
There you go.
And at 10 years old, that was a lot of money.
You were hooked, man.
Yeah, I was hooked. I was like, I could do this for a living.
Yeah. So what brought you to West Virginia?
School brought me to West Virginia.
Okay. What year was that?
That was about 2020, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to school in Southeast Ohio at Hocking College in 2018. I pursued fisheries management and aquaculture, graduated from there with an associate's degree, and transferred to WVU to pursue my bachelor's in 2020.
I love
and
it.
I've just been here ever since.
That's amazing. So you got your undergrad in fisheries biology or
That's right.
fisheries management.
Yep.
And now you're still a WVU student right now, currently.
I'm still a WVU student.
Working on your master's in fisheries.
That's exactly right. Yeah. I took a little break there after my bachelor's and worked for the DNR out of Elkins, West Virginia.
Yeah.
And just absolutely loved that and came back to pursue higher education so that I can be more involved with it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So the West Virginia Division of Natural Resources, that West Virginia DNR, those guys are great. I love them, and so you're one of them. So I love you now as an extension.
We don't hear that often.
How did you get involved with fisheries? I mean, is that something you have a passion for as well?
Yeah. I've always had a
that.
passion for that. It's always been music and fish for me. I grew up with a pond in my backyard, and that was like the one place I could go to and just feel completely at peace.
Yeah.
Hear the wind coming through the trees, seeing it ripple on the water, and then being able to just sit there and fish.
Yeah.
And I was so amazed by all the stuff we had in that pond, and it just kind of spurred this interest in me where I'm like, man, I really, really enjoy these creatures, and I love this world. It's like the one thing that brings me full on inner peace is being outside.
Very
and
cool.
so I took that and decided to pursue it in case, God forbid I fall out of a job with fisheries. I can always fall back on music and do side gigs, make a little money in the meantime. But now
and
I try
vice versa.
and vice versa, right? But now I try to incorporate a lot of the nature feeling and inspirations for my surroundings into my music.
Okay, that's amazing. Cameron, I haven't heard your music, but we're going to hear you play and sing a little bit here in a minute.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about the style of music that you're known for.
Yeah, so I'm known for folk music primarily.
Okay.
Growing up, I did a lot of banjo and a lot of bluegrass music. And every Thursday night, I still play in a bluegrass group over at Terra Cafe here in Morgantown.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Carrie Landis.
Yeah, you know Carrie?
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay. Yeah,
that's right.
Great. Name dropping.
Yeah, name
That's
dropping,
good.
right?
He's a good guy.
So I play with those guys, a couple old time groups out here. There's some really, really good talent around Morgantown.
Yeah.
I mean, just some phenomenal musicians. I mean, you were one of them. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So,
I played in the band for years. That's
yeah.
Great.
So I took a break from bluegrass and kind of transitioned into acoustic folk when I got my first guitar. And then from there, I started writing songs. I found that it was easier to sing and play on guitar than it was the banjo. So I just started writing away. And I really resonated with a lot of the vocal styles of early Americana and folk artists, Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Rice and the Bluegrass Unit, God, he was such an inspiration for me as a guitar player. And I just
as a
took it
singer
and
and as a songwriter, as a singer, as a picker.
Yeah.
Right. A phenomenal guitar player.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Dylan. I imagine Pete Seeger. Were you a Pete Seeger fan with the banjo? And now, did you play 5-string? Did you play clawhammer? What did you?
I played 5-string. Yeah, I play Scruggs style, or some people call it 3-finger. You know?
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Did you have the Scruggs tuners?
No, I had them on one banjo, but that was way later down.
I was always kind of enamored with that sound,
Yeah,
and,
it's so
to be
cool.
able to pitch and bend and tune and so forth. That's very cool. All right, so bring us up to speed now. Like with you're writing songs, your own music, you're singing, you're playing guitar. What's the goal here? What are you trying to do with music?
Yeah,
Like if you could
great question.
have a magic wand, what would you see for yourself?
If I did have that and I had that ability, I would be able to see myself doing music full time comfortably.
Very cool.
I'm not one of those people that sees myself on stage playing in front of an arena of thousands of people. I make music for myself and my friends. The people I've shared it with my entire life. And that's who I kind of want to really keep it for. But others have enjoyed it, and it's gotten me a lot of really good opportunities down the line. So if I can just keep that consistency up and be very comfortable with that and be able to grow as an artist where I can connect with more people,
Love it.
then that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, that's very cool. West Virginia has a storied history of great musicians hailing from the state of West Virginia. Now, I know you weren't born here, but you're here now, and people like going way back to like little Jimmy Dickens in the country area, Bill Withers from West Virginia, Brad Paisley from Glendale, West Virginia. I mean, probably one of the biggest stars we've ever had come out of here. Now you've got guys like Charles Wesley Godwin right from here in Morgantown on the international stage, and he's made a name for himself writing and playing his own music. Is that kind of like, are those some of the influences you have from West Virginia standpoint?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting you bring that up, especially coming in as an outsider.
Yeah.
I feel more at home in Appalachia than I kind of do back home at this point.
That's cool. Yeah.
And seeing all the influence and interest in Appalachia over these past few years, I feel like especially, maybe I'm biased just because I've been in it for so long now. But there's a lot of really good talent coming out of West Virginia, and it feels like all eyes are kind of on West Virginia and Appalachia right now, especially with the devastation of Hurricane Helene and everything, and the economic downfalls in the past, and the coal mining history. Yeah. There's been so much rich sentimental value out of the Appalachians, especially in West Virginia, that I think really comes out in a lot of these songwriters.
Absolutely. I think about like the Delta bluesmen of the 30s and 40s and all the things that they were going through, the struggles, and that same kind of conviction and passion, resilience is here in West Virginia as well, especially as it relates to Appalachian music and bluegrass, folk, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I entirely agree. And even the settlers before then, a lot of the Scottish and Irish immigrants and settlers coming over and bringing along some of their tunes like clawhammer banjo and everything, just had such a mark on this region.
Yeah, that's super cool. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
Been traveling down this dark and dirty road for just about too many years. Fog in my mind, got some dust in my eyes, and shed no tears. Found my way a long time ago, but left it back at some old bar. Heart on my sleeve, guided only by my lucky stars. Oh Lord, I hope they lead me to you. Don't you know it's true? And when you're in my arms, please just say I do. There's a little bit for you.
Cameron Layne, ladies and gentlemen. Cameron, that's awesome, man. I love your style. I love your voice.
Thank you.
The song's powerful. Tell us about that song.
Gladly. Yeah, that was the first song I ever wrote on guitar. And that was the one. And it was the quickest one I ever wrote. I was 16 years old and I was in high school. And you know, when you're in high school, everything's running through your mind.
Yeah.
Man. And you're like, man, I don't have a girlfriend yet. It's the end of the world for me right now. So that song was like written in hope of wanting to find love and just like, you know, having it always in your path.
Yeah.
And granted, you know, I wrote that song in high school, but in that part you just heard, you know, heart on my sleeve, guided only by my lucky stars. And then the lyric about, you know, found my way a long time ago, but left it back in some old bar. I wasn't in the bars in high school. That lyric actually changed way later on when I got to college. And I was like, oh man, that kind of flows a little bit better and works with the stars thing.
That's super cool. Yeah. So tell us the title of that song.
That song is called Guide.
Guide. Now, can folks find that out there on the internet or on maybe a streaming service?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What's
If you search for Guide, Cameron Layne, Layne, you can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, YouTube, pretty much wherever you stream your music.
And we'll make sure we have links to that later. This is a great conversation. We thought it would be pretty cool just to start the segment with you playing and singing, and I really appreciate that. First time I've actually heard you sing and play, so I'm very impressed. I like a lot of genres of music. I like folk and bluegrass and all the things that you're all about. Americana. Mm-hmm. Tell folks that may have not have heard that genre, Americana, what that stands for, what it represents. Maybe some artist examples.
Yeah. So that genre to me represents groundedness, or just being in touch with not only sentimental value but also your surroundings, kind of taking that all in. And it's more about imagery than it is creating a story. You know, there's a lot of storyteller aspects to it.
Sure.
And a lot of these people, you know, when you get things with like stadium country and stuff, it's like the same couple lyrics over and over and over.
Right.
But with Americana, no matter what, it's all based on people's perception, and it's just so much influence on outside imagery. And there's some really, really good artists. I know everybody's all over Zach Bryan right now.
Yeah.
You know, Charles Wesley Godwin does a little bit of the Americana folk country deal, and you know, Morgantown local. Shout out to him.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of really, really good people.
When I first heard of Americana, this was years ago, probably 15 years ago or so, I was exposed to it, and that very first artist that comes to mind was the Avett Brothers. Mm-hmm. And you know, I'm trying to think of their names. Scott and Seth Avett were they kind of burst onto the scene. And the very first time I heard their music, I was like, wow, this is something different. And it was that same mindset that you were talking about, that feeling that it elicited, you know. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily know what the songs were about, the first couple that I heard, but I was like, man, this is powerful. And so I believe they're from North Carolina, Appalachia, right? I can't remember the name of the town, and I've seen them several times that are really great. So I think that you've kind of described some of the artists and what Americana is, so people can identify with that, right? Mm-hmm. So bluegrass, folk, you mentioned Bob Dylan was one of your early influences, especially on the guitars, writing and so forth. How do you see like the music industry, right? Trying to break into that, if you will, as a profession. How do you see that evolving? What are the steps that have to happen for you to get, to make a living doing music?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that have to be put in motion.
Yeah.
But the one thing that can't ever not be in motion is you. You have to want this. You have to continue to pursue it. You have to be ready to sacrifice time, sacrifice money. I mean, just like everything else in life, right? If you want something, you're going to pursue it, and it takes effort to get there. But I think it's evolving in a very positive way, you know, where wherever words fail, music fills in the gaps and fills in the spaces in between.
Yeah, I love that.
So all
great.
sorts of people need it all the time, and everyone can relate to music on some sort of commonality. You know, a lot of, you hear one of the classic questions on a date is like, what kind of music are you into?
Yeah,
You know, what kind of genres do you like?
Sure.
So I think personally, with how it's evolving, I think it's ever growing. It's never going to stop growing.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see a lot of the new talent coming up. And for those who are interested in it, you just got to do it.
Do you collaborate with other artists? You know, are you in a band? Like your songwriting process, talk us through that and how that works.
Yeah, the songwriting process comes and goes, honestly, I will say. And that's totally normal for any musician.
Yeah.
A lot of people look at it and think like, oh, I wish it was so easy. But oh my God, a lot of these people just struggle, you know, myself included. I struggle all the time with it.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to ask me what comes first, the song or the lyrics? And it's kind of a tricky question because it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I'll be driving down the highway and get like a little tune in my head
Like a
going,
little riff.
and then I start to think of lyrics associated with it, you know?
Sure.
Or I'll just start running off of lyrics and stuff, or I'll hear something from somebody and I'll kind of like take in a little bit of inspiration. And I'm like, oh man, that'd be a good song, Tyler. This would be a good lyric. Like,
It's great.
yeah. As far as collaboration goes, I have collaborated so far on one of my releases.
Yeah.
It's my most recent release. It's called You're Too Good to Me.
Yeah.
And I collaborated with Mary Linscheid on that. And
Okay.
Mary is a Morgantown local. Her family's been here for hundreds of years. So, you know, she's born and bred West Virginia, right?
That's great.
And just an absolutely phenomenal musician.
Yeah.
She's with a band right now called the Wild Shoats. They're kind of making their way around.
Amazing. What instrument does she play?
Guitar, vocals, fiddle, to my knowledge so far. And she's fantastic at all of them.
That's fantastic. Cameron Layne, this is an awesome interview. I appreciate you sharing your passion for music and your journey on making this your business, your livelihood. And when we come back, could you play us another part of the song?
Oh, gladly.
All right,
Absolutely.
This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back. Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Voted best in Mountaineer Country for their reliable, high-speed fiber internet for a low cost, Breezeline is the best gig in town. You know, here at InnerAction Media, we rely on high-speed internet every single day to ensure we can deliver the best content possible for our clients and when we publish Positively West Virginia each week. That's why we use Breezeline. It's affordable, fast, and they're great people as well. Learn more about Breezeline's internet, TV, and mobile options at breezeline.com.
We used to watch the colors of the leaves change, glancing to the skies at our endless range. Then the leaves fell down and the cold came through. The wind and the winter left me without you.
Amazing. Cameron Layne. Bravo. Tell us about that. That's a part of a song that's a new release.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah.
us about it. Tell us the title.
Gladly. The title is called Seasons. Couldn't play all too much on it because it's not released yet. So that is a Positively West Virginia exclusive for you.
All right. There you go. I love it, man.
Yeah, first time I've debuted it so far. So
Very cool.
That one was, I believe, the second or third song I wrote. And shocker, again, it's about love.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
you know, it's a pretty sad song. It's actually about losing love. You know, the first one, Guide, was about that pursuit of love, and it had that upbeat, happy tone to it. But this one's sad, and it's sad for a reason. It's actually a true story, and it's about love that I had lost in high school, and then you know, this person that I was talking to back then has passed on.
Oh my gosh.
And so that song is written about her and for her, and it's a very deep, sentimental song that I hope, you know, a lot of people can see some sort of beauty in, or find some sort of ironic comfort.
It's powerful. You know? That little clip that you just played for us is amazing, and I can't wait to hear the whole song. So Cameron, we talk about making it in the music business, whatever that means. Basically be able to have a lifestyle where you can travel and you can play your music and sustain your family, right, by music. How many songs do you have now? I mean, I'm curious about this. We've played a couple of parts of songs here, 2 songs today. How many songs are in your repertoire?
Yeah, so for a full set list, about 2 hours or so, I have about 25 songs.
Wow.
About 12 of those are originals, and I try to break it up with covers just to give some familiarity to the crowd.
Yeah, so you got an album's worth.
Yeah, an album's worth, and an album will be coming.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've mentioned that too.
Yeah, so you're recording.
That's right.
The process. So in the music business, it used to be that, artists didn't make any money on the tour. They made it on the sales of the records. Now I think it's kind of flipped, and you put the music out there with the hopes to sell tickets at the venue. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of the way you see it? And as it plays out here, and you're putting music out, getting streams. Talk a little bit about that, and the you mentioned the Spotify and the Pandoras and so forth like that. But how do you actually make money at this?
Yeah, great question. A lot of people think it's very simple as it is, but it's really not. It's really not. In this industry, especially, you got to spend money to make money. Yeah. And there's an old adage where it's like you pack up a $500 guitar in a $5,000 van to travel 5,000 miles and spend this much money on a hotel just to make $200 and come back.
That's like bass fishing. The same way. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So music, it depends on what your percentage of the song that you own. So if you're the singer-songwriter, it's just you solo, you own 100% of that song. Yeah. For instance, if you split it up, if you have a collaborator, I do it evenly. I have one collaborator, 50-50, just like that. Yeah. Stream sales vary depending on the platform as well as the day. So I go through a service that actually allows me to observe where all the streams are coming from, and they total my revenue at the end of every month. And even on Guide, where just on Spotify alone, it's got I think a little over 15,000 streams now, it cost me, well, I'll try not to be too direct here. It cost me more than $400 to make the song. And my ROI basically on that song is about 46 right now. So a lot of people are like, oh man, you did it and you're just swimming in money. You're a musician, you can afford it. No, it's not the case. It's a total passion project.
Yeah, at this point. Mm-hmm. But that's paying your dues, right? That's what they talk in the industry, and you got to get out there and you got to put your time in. And like you said, you write these songs for your friends, right? The people that you care about and love, and if it reaches more than that, then that's a bonus. But ultimately, trying to make it in the music industry, man, I just think you're gonna go far. You just haven't hit your stride yet. But you're also pursuing your master's degree too. So right. So you're pursuing music. You're pursuing your education, and I love the story behind becoming a fisheries biologist, growing up with a pond in your backyard. One thing when you mentioned that, it is interesting because music and being in nature, they're kind of the way I look at it anyway. They're kind of parallel ideals, right? Because you get pleasure and this transformation when you're playing music and writing, or even listening to a song, but also being in nature, right? And I think about what you were talking about, having that pond in your backyard and appreciating not knowing what's in that pond. And it's kind of cool because, you look at the surface of the water and it's peaceful, and maybe there's some ripples going across or whatnot. Maybe you see a fish breaking the surface, eating or whatever, but you go under the water and you see there's a whole world down there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that with music too. You hear the song, but then you start diving deep into the lyrics, the meaning, the passion. Like you mentioned that song being about a love lost and losing a girl. Not just losing her, but then her being gone from the world. I mean, that's super sad. Yeah. But the more you dig in to the music, is kind of like going beneath the surface of a body of water, a stream or a pond or a lake or the ocean or whatever, swimming with the fishes. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful way to put it. Yeah, and I entirely agree. A lot of that is actually influenced in my music too. I try to write a lot about nature. Granted, I played 2 love songs for you, but just wait till the album. You'll hear
That's great.
a lot.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
the
sure.
album is going to be called Lodic, and that's actually a term for flowing water.
No
And
kidding.
it's got a lot of meaning behind it for me. And the whole album is going to flow in a direction from headwaters all the way down to a big flood and a big river. So it's going to start off with real slow, soft, sentimental songs, and it's going to grow into this big, where at the end, we have a full band on some of these songs.
Amazing.
So it's going to be a big project and a really passionate one.
Yeah.
At that.
How do you spell it?
Lotic.
Lotsc. And what does it mean again?
It means flowing. So
Flowing,
in the
okay.
fisheries world, we use lodic and lentic,
Yeah.
and that is to refer to still bodies of water.
Yeah.
Or bodies of water in motion. And lentic would be like ponds and lakes.
Oh.
Lodic are streams and rivers.
Yeah, that's very cool. And you've got lots of headwaters here in West Virginia.
Yeah.
I can see the video now.
Yeah, right.
Maybe at the the Sinks of Gandy or something like that.
Yeah, right. Just somewhere nice, cool, and clear water. Oh my gosh, I
That's
love
cool.
it.
Yeah, that's great. So, vision long term for Cameron Layne music. Talk a little bit about if you could paint the picture. What does it look like?
Oh man, if just to keep doing what I'm doing, if I'm able to share it with more people and be an inspiration and be an influence to those, especially those who, have gone through it before. Everybody's experienced some sort of trauma or depression, anxiety in their life, and I've always used music as a way to remedy that for myself. So if I can be that way for others, that would be the ultimate inspiration.
Very
for
cool.
me.
Cameron, when I have leaders in the studio here on the podcast, I like to talk about leadership issues, and you're a leader. You're leading yourself, you're leading your music, you're leading a band and putting an album together. What do you think is the most important attribute of a successful leader today?
Oh, great question. I think the most important attribute is listen. Listen to those around you, listen for the signs of change, and listen to yourself more than anything. Just push through, but also take into consideration everybody else's opinions and everybody else's influence too. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to make that decision. So as long as you're listening, you can decide on what to act on, but you have all these other options, and you can even obtain other influence and inspiration from others' opinions that could factor into ultimately your own decision at the end of the day, which could work out in your benefit.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And it's a good word for your industry. Listen to the music. Listen to Cameron Layne's music. So Cameron, if there's somebody out there listening and maybe has thought about, the pursuit of music as their career, making starting a business basically, because I imagine you have to protect your royalties and your rights to your music. You probably have some legal aspects of setting up a business. What advice would you give to them if they were thinking about pursuing music?
Look for a mentor, for sure. I would not be here today if it wasn't for the guys that helped me out along the way.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more about the music world that I'm still learning every day that I had no idea prior to even starting to record. There's
How about one of those
intricacies.
things? Give us an example of something that you learned that you didn't know.
Yeah. Oh, the copywriting process.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, when I was in high school, obviously you don't really think about too much, and you think like, oh, you can just write a song and put it out there. Boom, it's the end of the world. But no, with the copywriting process, you got to establish ownership. You have to send in this big pamphlet, and it costs money to do that too. I didn't even know that until halfway through college. I was like, oh, it costs money to send it to the Library of Congress. And so that's definitely one of the things for sure.
Yeah. We talked before we got started here, a really cool movie that was out right around Christmas time, 2024, and it was up for multiple awards. I think won a couple, was the story of Bob Dylan.
A complete unknown, I think, right? There it
A
is.
complete unknown. I was testing you.
Oh,
Cameron.
yeah. Okay.
A complete unknown. I mean, what a powerful movie. And, that kind of showed the story of Bob Dylan as this folk singer and kind of how he kind of broke out and, became electrified and, had an electric guitar and all that kind of stuff. But it was really cool story about the foundation of some of the trials and tribulations that he had to go through as a musician. Did that movie speak to you?
A little bit, it kind of opened my eyes into what I kind of refer to as like the folk revolution.
Yeah,
right?
The folk revolution, for
Yeah,
sure. Pete
yeah.
Seeger, like we talked about.
Oh my God, yeah. Those guys just spearheaded the whole
Yeah,
movement.
Joan Baez.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Was part of that.
I mean, it was just you look at it, America was in such a vulnerable time during those years, 50s, 60s, 70s. And everybody was looking for some sort of peace, some sort of peace. And it seemed like the folk singers were the ones who recognized that and put it out in this new style, this new format almost, that really spoke with a lot of people, and a lot of people who I'm sure felt underrepresented. And, you know, with our time today, as things continue to shift, it's like there's a growth for that again. And it feels like a really good time to be able to try and connect with others again. Yeah,
I agree with you on that. And, you know, I think of, you know, just in the bluegrass genre, and we talked about bluegrass a bit ago, I think of this popularity of a guy named Billy Strings. Have you heard of him?
I have.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy, and he's getting, I mean, tens of millions of downloads and streams, and he's really a bluegrass artist at heart. So I think it's cool, and there's a lot of that happening right now. Cameron, we've covered a lot in this interview, and I really appreciate your playing. I mean, that was amazing. Thank you for bringing your guitar along and entertaining us a little bit and sharing some of your story. Is there anything else you think our listeners should know about you or your story?
Yeah, of course. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. Seriously. I know a lot of people are afraid of messaging artists. They don't want to be intrusive or anything like that. But the truth is, a lot of these guys want to talk to people. You know, I was at a Nolan Taylor concert last night, and he was like, I'm going to be around afterwards to take pictures and say hi. I want to shake every single one of your guys' hands. That's what he said. And he loves talking to people. You can DM him on Instagram and he'll message right back. So I want to offer the same. You know, if there's anybody out there with any sort of interest in starting music or just general questions, or even if they just want to talk, necessarily not even about music, just
what if they want to jam or maybe collaborate on a song or
even better. Yeah, come on by. You know where to find me, Morgantown, West Virginia. So
that's great. I love it. As we close out our time here, Cameron, how can folks do just that and get in touch with you? Are you on social media and all those platforms? Maybe give us an opportunity for how to reach out.
I am on social media. You can find my Instagram at Cameron M. Layne, and that's Layne, Layne. You can find my email on Spotify, and there's ways to reach out to me through there as well, primarily. Yeah,
and we'll make sure we have all those links on social media and in the show notes as well, because I love your music so far. What I've heard, it's awesome. It's very authentic, real, and very passionate. And I think, you know, I love the fact that you're a fisheries biologist. I mean, I'm a fisherman. You know, I like music, so we're connected on some plane here. So our guest once again is Cameron Layne from right here in Morgantown, by way of just outside of Cleveland, Ohio. Now a WVU student and on his way to a fisheries career, or maybe even more importantly, a music career.
There we go.
And I'm really wishing you the best, Cameron, and I love your music. It's been an honor to have you on the show. And I just want to encourage you to keep up the great work, man.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been an absolute blast.
Yeah, this is fun. Thank you. Well, folks, that's it for another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on the show, drop us a line on our website at positivelywv.com. And of course, we appreciate your comments, your sharing these stories of folks just like Cameron Layne on your social media as well. And, you know, for the encouragement along the way, we really appreciate you guys and all the support of our Positively West Virginia tribe out there. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, Mr. Jimmy Murray behind the controls, I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.